After more than 3 decades with the Rolling Stones, Bill Wyman chose to step away in a way that matched his personality, quietly and without spectacle. For years, fans speculated about the real reason behind his departure, often assuming it was about age or a desire for a slower life. But time has a way of bringing clarity. In a recent public appearance tied to his memoir, Wyman finally shared what had long remained unspoken. His words were not bitter or dramatic. Instead, they carried a calm honesty, shaped by distance and reflection. He didn't seek to rewrite history, only to explain his own experience within one of the most influential bands ever formed, offering a perspective that had been missing for decades, a relationship that never fully connected. When speaking about Keith Richards, Wyman didn't resort to harsh criticism. He simply acknowledged a truth that had lingered quietly for years. They were never truly close. While they shared the stage and contributed to the same musical legacy, their personalities and outlooks rarely aligned. Wyman described their relationship as distant, shaped more by circumstance than genuine connection. There was no sense of hostility, only a recognition that some people, even when working toward the same goal, exist on different wavelengths. His statement felt less like a revelation and more like a confirmation of something long understood but never clearly said. It offered insight into how even the strongest creative partnerships can carry unseen gaps beneath the surface. An outsider from the very beginning. From the moment he joined the Rolling Stones in 1962, Wyman stood apart. Born earlier than his bandmates and shaped by a different upbringing, he entered the group not as a peer in lifestyle, but as someone already grounded in responsibility. While Mick Jagger and Keith Richards shared a natural creative bond, Wyman often found himself on the outside of that circle. His focus remained on the music, on building a solid foundation rather than seeking attention. Early on, his experience and discipline were valued, but as the band evolved, so did its internal dynamics. Over time, the difference between being essential to the sound and being included in the inner circle became more noticeable. The shift from band to power structure. As success grew, so did the structure within the group. What began as a collaborative effort gradually shifted toward a more centralized, creative identity built around Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Songwriting credits, decision-making, and long-term direction increasingly reflected that partnership. For Wyman, this wasn't about recognition as much as it was about participation. He contributed consistently in the studio and on stage, yet his role in shaping the band's direction became limited. It was a subtle change, not marked by conflict, but by absence. Over time, the difference between being present and being included became impossible to ignore. This gradual shift laid the groundwork for feelings that would eventually influence his decision to leave. Moments that define the distance. Certain moments made that distance clearer during major milestones, including industry recognition and large tours. Wyman often felt more like a participant than a contributor to the broader vision. Even when performing in front of massive audiences, there was a sense that decisions were happening elsewhere. He fulfilled every responsibility expected of him, yet remained removed from conversations that shaped the band's future. These experiences didn't erupt into arguments, but they accumulated over time. The feeling wasn't one of rejection, but of quiet separation. It was the kind of distance that doesn't demand attention, yet slowly reshapes how a person sees their place within something they helped build. Choosing to step away with dignity. When Wyman decided to leave in the early 1990s, the choice wasn't impulsive. It came after years of reflection. He didn't make a public spectacle of his departure or attempt to shift blame. Instead, he stepped away with a sense of calm finality. For him, it was about preserving his own sense of balance, rather than continuing in a space where he no longer felt fully connected. His decision reflected a personal boundary rather than a reaction. In later interviews, he expressed no regret, only a quiet certainty that he had stayed long enough. It was a departure defined not by conflict, but by clarity, an understanding of when it was time to move forward. Life beyond the spotlight. After leaving the Rolling Stones, Wyman didn't disappear from music. Instead, he redefined his relationship with it. Through projects like Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings, he explored styles he genuinely loved, free from the pressures of global expectations. These performances were smaller, more intimate, and deeply personal. He also pursued interests beyond music, including writing and photography, building a life that reflected his curiosity rather than industry demands. For the first time, he was creating without compromise. This phase of his life showed that stepping away from something massive doesn't mean stepping away from passion. Sometimes it means rediscovering it in its purest form, a legacy built on consistency. While he may not have been the most visible member, Wyman's contribution to the Rolling Stones remains undeniable. His bass lines form the backbone of countless iconic tracks, providing stability and depth that allowed the band's sound to flourish. Musicians and critics alike have recognized his ability to serve the song rather than overshadow it. That consistency became his signature. He wasn't driven by spotlight moments, but by the steady presence that every great band depends on. Over time, this approach earned him respect among fellow musicians who understood the importance of balance within a group dynamic. Reflections. After 3 decades, more than 30 years after his departure, Wyman's reflections feel measured and thoughtful. He doesn't speak with resentment, nor does he attempt to reshape public perception. Instead, he offers a perspective rooted in honesty. His recent comments about Keith Richards weren't meant to provoke, but to clarify. They provided insight into a relationship that functioned professionally, but never evolved into something deeper. In doing so, he reminded audiences that even the most celebrated collaborations are still human at their core, shaped by personality, timing, and circumstance as much as talent. Understanding the man behind the music. In the end, Bill Wyman's story isn't about conflict, it's about identity. His journey shows that being part of something historic doesn't always guarantee a sense of belonging. Sometimes, the greatest act of self-respect is knowing when to step away quietly. His legacy isn't defined by headlines or dramatic exits, but by decades of dedication to his craft. And today, his voice, calm, reflective, and honest, adds a deeper layer to the history of the Rolling Stones. It reminds us that behind every legendary sound is a human story, often more nuanced than the music itself.